Ron Paul's very dedicated.
JP Morgan debacle.
This kind of financial derivatives, credit default swaps, are completely unregulated and are going to cause a disaster.
Trillions of dollars in off-balance sheet transactions.
With some light-skinned girls and some Kelly Rowlands. In this white man world, we the ones chosen. So good night, fool world, I see you in the morning.
But apart from the language, culture, border checks, we're all in this together.
Hey everybody, it's me, your good friend, the Obama support.
Is that you can't trust Alex Jones.
Because I poured it over half what's in there, and I got 1.5.
Hey Ross, what is that? Death of a Corvette.
Oh.
The elixir? That's number 9?
Oh. That's government issue.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country.
Hey everybody, it's me, your good friend, the Obama support.
And Alex Jones, another sellout.
People start pollution. People can stop it.
Sellout. 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 Sellout.
The money power of the country is taken away from the people.
Sorry.
You gotta let him go.
Infowars.com. Alex Jones. Once again, if on a political level, sometimes there's a lot of things I agree with, but ultimately, politics is a means to distract you from what's really going on. And this guy is one of the first gatekeepers to catch people coming out of the trance. He caught me, 5-6 years ago. But I used it as a stare, not a chair. I didn't sit there.
I can't give you Warp 9 much longer, Mr. Spock. These engines are beginning to show signs of stress.
Good evening, everyone. This is Brian with the Debt Assassins. It is Sunday, July 22nd, 2012, and this is tonight's nightly news. So here we go. This will be the largest broadcast we have delivered. As I said earlier in the captain's log, this is a terrific day for the fact that that we've got full upload status restored to the Debt Assassins. And this couldn't have happened at a better time because I've been needing to communicate with you guys and let you guys know some of the research and some of the work that I've been doing in the background. Those of you who are new to the nightly news, let me just try to briefly explain what we do here. I will give anybody that has any breaking news or any kind of news worthy material the time of day up here. This is not a money-making adventure. I own many other YouTube channels, and those pay me, and I don't need to bilk the Ron Paul crowd or the people who are just trying to come out of the trance of the phony alternative media that we've all been dealing with for a very long time. You guys know who I'm talking about, and we're taking you down. Not you, but you know what I'm saying. Like I said, I don't have time to do 15 or 20 outtakes on this. But basically, the Debt Assassins is for real. Eventually, we will have sponsors or more sponsors. But like I said, in the time being, we are doing this to try to save our country and save these little people who I care about deeply because they are the future. Okay, like Peter Cullen said, we need to get them interested in space exploration. We need to get them interested in peaceful peaceful means and not constantly playing video games all day long with blowing up people and shooting people, and as well as our today's government running all around the world and kicking in doors and you know, clearing rooms and you know, basically tyranny, stuff that we dealt with that's fascist from World War II. And let me tell you, us Americans and our 45s have conquered the world several times, okay? And if we have to do it again, I'm sure that there are plenty of people that understand that side of the fence, okay? But that's not where I'm trying to go right now. I am trying to make a final plea to you guys to respect the Debt Assassins and to try to help this become the real deal, because that's what we're all about, okay? I'm not a frickin' Mason. I'm not here to bilk you guys, okay? I'm not here to lie to you or to try to steer you in some wrong direction. Yeah, I'm a leader, okay? I've always been a leader, and you know, these are things that I have to deal with in my life. Now, I'm trying to earn your trust, but you have to work with me, and you have to understand that this isn't a pissing contest as to who's the best YouTuber or who's the best, you know, many different genres, okay? This is about teaching the people and educating the people as to the real news, because guess what? All those ones on the TV, epic fail. All you guys in the alternative media with your little phony websites and your phony YouTubes and all your other stuff, epic fail, okay? We're going by the fruit, and you guys aren't doing anything but tricking everybody and spinning everybody, and basically, a lot of you cats are anarchists, okay? And anarchists, guess what? The first secret society con on the people, and that's us, the lower people, the people that hold the guns, that roll and patrol, and that do what we're told to do. You guys have been playing us for fools, and we're not taking it anymore, okay? Anarchy is in the service of the king. You're revealed, and I'm not in the service of the king. Neither is a lot of people that I love and care about out there, mainly our soldiers in this particular case. So, anarchy, epic fail. Stop with your crap. The United States Constitution and the United States people need to recognize the leadership that we have, the leadership role in this world, and it's an epic responsibility and a great responsibility, and we need to step up the plate and deal with it. That being said, we're going to move on to tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is Ron Paul, the Ron Paul campaign, and pretty much Ron Paul, pretty much from beginning to end, as well as, you know, Dr. Ken is in on this one, and now Dr. Ken is someone who I've gone back and forth with over Noam Chomsky for a very long time, and you know, we agree to disagree on that subject, but he's put out a video today that absolutely moved me, and it's right in line with what the Debt Assassins are trying to do here. So Dr. Ken will have some time tonight, and as well as some others, but I respect him deeply, and he makes some terribly good points. I did not edit him in one way, shape, or form, because like I said, he hit it out of the park with this one, and I'm so proud of him. So that's that. Now, just a little quick rant of mine. You know, I've made Ron Paul ads or promotional Ron Paul videos for 5 years now, guys, and I've made a lot of them. My dad and I tried to count them one time, and we can't even count how many I've done through several different YouTube channels and several different IDs, and you know, just tons of them. I threw a few of them in here tonight because I thought they were relevant to the topic. But my point with mentioning that is I've never made a penny off of the Ron Paul people, not one penny. And there's many others here that I'm going to diss right now that have. Now, a lot of you people think that because you have a #1 Ron Paul supporter moniker or some other stuff on there, well, let me tell you guys, you know who you are. You never even subbed to my channel. You've never even commented on my channel. In fact, I've been pretty much dissed from day one from you guys. Now, I don't know the actual meaning behind all of that stuff, but guess what? I'm throwing down the gauntlet, okay? Ron Paul flicks, epic fail. Some of you other Ron Paul supporters, epic fail, okay? You guys have failed to miss the point that, like I just said, it's not a pissing contest. It's about saving this country and taking the revolution peacefully to D.C., to evoke change to get our troops home, okay? You guys that have been running Google ads all this time and giving the people this milquetoast, you know, just basically repeating stuff. A lot of you repeat just Jack Handy of all things, but, you know, wearing masks and hiding out in the shadows and acting like you're some kind of liberty movement leader. Well, if you are, hey, step forward, sub the channel, and get behind the real revolution. If not, I'm giving you guys a week, and I'm giving the campaign a week to turn this thing around. Or like I said, I'm going Rambo, and it ain't going to be pretty, and I don't really feel like doing all of that stuff. But like I said, guys, you guys have been bilking the revolution and the nice people that love Dr. Paul and that want to see Dr. Paul succeed as well as you succeed, okay? But you're missing the boat. We drafted Dr. Paul in 2007, okay? And this video tonight is to try to redraft Dr. Paul because fading off into the darkness or acting like for having the GOP act like, and the RNC, that for that matter act like Romney is the choice of the troops and is the choice of the American people. That is farthest from the truth, guys, and that's a load of crap. So like I said, this will be my final plea to the campaign, as well as you other YouTubers, to get with the program, okay? We have a chance, a very narrow window here, to save this country and save the direction of the United States of America from going over the edge, okay? And that means, I hate to say it, because like I said, I'm a nice person. I really don't believe in jails and this, that, and the other. But let me tell you guys, these banksters need to be brought to some sort of consequence for their behavior, okay? Now, you people in law enforcement and you people in positions of power need to flip the script, and this is a gut check moment for all of you right now, okay? This drop in the United States down into the memory hole and thinking that these guys are going to, you know, get away with all of this stuff and put us people under cameras and under, like I did with Chunky Mark the other day, you know, trying to squeeze us into falling in line and going against our United States Constitution and our freedom of speech. No. No. You guys need to do your job at the DOJ and all the other little satellite units in between, okay? I understand that there is a, a cabal, but guess what? They're a minority, people. You peace-loving people in law enforcement and have little shorties in this world and also love this country and see that the things are going the wrong direction, do your job. Do your job. That's all I'm saying about that. I love all of you guys out there. I didn't want this to go on too long, but like I said, you phony YouTubers, you're on my radar, okay? Step in line and join this fight or pay the consequences. And as far as the campaign goes, again, this is my final plea to you guys. Flip the script. Let's redraft Ron Paul in the leadership role. And this website that's just been throwing up Jack Handy over and over and over again, little Jack Handy promotions and whatever, this needs to come to an end. If Dr. Paul isn't going to lead us to peace and safety and bring our troops home, as he said, I'll quote that interview with Judy Woodruff, who left CNN, good for you. How quickly will you bring the troops home? As quick as the ships could get there. Sir, this is our final plea to you. As quick as the ships could get there, or we'll take it in another direction. I love all you guys out there. Remember, every day is a day to kick the elitist butt. And it starts with telling the truth and checking yourselves in a gut check. And that's what this video is for. Love all you guys. Peace.
What is your name?
I'm Ron Paul. I'm a congressman from Texas, serving in my 10th term. I am the champion of the Constitution.
You've always had a hard time finding your place in this world, haven't you? Never knowing your true worth. You can settle for less than ordinary life. Or do you feel like you were meant for something better? Something special?
The founders would be ashamed of us for what we're putting up with.
This is about saving the future of humanity.
An idea whose time has come cannot be stopped by any army or any government. We've come to take our government back.
Oh yeah, I need the government to take care of me.
Violence control. Yeah.
Yes, we can.
No!
Wait is over.
Okay, I'll give a command. Runners ready, and then I'll blow the horn. Runners, ready.
Number one here.
Good job.
See what his approximate time was. Pretty much a trail race. That was for 5K. First girl in the 5K. Second one. Third. Fourth.
Come on, go! You're ready! Go that way! Go! Summer, go! Woo! Pick it up, baby girl! You got it, Summer!
All right, way to go. Wow. 10K number 2 here. All right. And 10K number 3.
Right at him.
First woman 10K.
Way to go, 527. Good job.
And here come 2 and 3 women for the 10K.
Come on, Wendy. Come on, Lauren. Catch her, Wendy. Catch her.
Good job, ladies.
Angler's Ridge Park here, where they had this trail race, is a beautiful place, as you can see. And the runners today had to put forth effort in order to get anywhere, and they knew that. But yet it seems that when it comes to politics, most people think they could just sit back, listen to what's on the TV, and make their pick. But you know something? They're taking the easy way. They're taking a way that's been destructive time after time, choosing corporate candidates over people who would make more sense for the people. It's not a very difficult scam to decipher, but take a look at it and see how the 2 major parties are the ones who are constantly put in our faces, as if there's not even any other candidates at all. But there's other candidates who are for more sane, reasonable positions regarding, say, hemp, which we could be using now that would really boost our economy. And other things like the illegality of its cousin plant, marijuana, which accounts for some 800,000 arrests every year. That's roughly the same number of kids who go missing every year in the United States. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that more of those children would be found if they weren't busy chasing people for possession of a plant. Steve Biko, who was killed under the apartheid regime, said, "The greatest weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed." And the oppressor has the TV under their thumbs. Anyway, it was good to see the people make the effort in this race, and it wouldn't take that much effort, but it would take a lot of people trying to break the media's back. Take a look at my positions. If you agree with me, then please back me up, because I'm backing you up. I don't want this job. It's not something I really want to do. It's something I feel I have to do, because we, the average, ordinary people, do not have proper representation in Washington. So let's help change that. We have over 100 days before Election Day. Thanks.
Thanks for the call. Jim Hines, one of our regular viewers, saying, "Hey America, if you want a candidate with viable plans who does not flip-flop, you will support and vote for Mitt Romney." Two headlines from the Washington Examiner. First, J.P. Morgan.
At Thornton Gifts, we believe speed is essential.
Now, one side in this campaign has been telling us that the issues of this election are the maintenance of peace and prosperity. The line has been used, "We've never had it so good."
I won't have to worry about putting gas in my car. I won't have to worry about paying my mortgage. You know, if I help him, he's going to help me.
But I have an uncomfortable feeling that this prosperity isn't something on which we can base our hopes for the future.
The key point I'm making right now is that the economy is moving in a positive direction.
And yet our government continues to spend $17 million a day more than the government takes in.
You're telling me we got to go spend money to keep from going bankrupt? The answer is yes, I'm telling you.
We've raised our debt limit 3 times in the last 12 months. And now our national debt is 1.5 times bigger than all the combined debts of all the nations of the world.
We're going to raise the debt limit. We always have. We will do it again.
We have $15 billion in gold in our treasury. We don't own an ounce.
I have been informed that the majority plans to block consideration of this amendment, which is number 1367, regarding the transparency at the Federal Reserve.
Foreign dollar claims are $27.3 billion.
It said that China has now surpassed Japan as the U.S. government's largest creditor, owning at least 10% of all U.S. debt, perhaps as much as $700 billion.
And we've just had announced that the dollar of 1939 will now purchase 45 cents in its total value.
President Obama is expected to face tough questions over the U.S. decision to pump $600 billion freshly printed dollars into its economy. Now, the move is an attempt to revive the country's finances, but will result in a devaluation of the dollar.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
And it's been said if we lose that war, and in so doing lose this way of freedom of ours,
you'll construct a legal regime to make indefinite detention legal.
History will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening.
There's starting a riot here.
But I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers.
For some trips, it'll be faster than flying, without the pat down.
Anna was picked to go through. Pretty much everybody except the baby was picked to go through the scanner.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
Damn America, that's in the Bible.
Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
I've got a core set of values that I think have to be advanced, and that my individual salvation depends on
our collective salvation.
You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down.
We had an election, and it was about a direction for our country.
And regardless of their sincerity, their humanitarian motives, those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. In this vote harvesting time, they use terms like the Great Society, or, as we were told a few days ago by the President, we must accept a greater government activity in the affairs of the people.
E pluribus unum, out of many, one. In the end, that's what this election is about.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so.
Over the course of 10 years, it would cost what it would cost us. All right, okay, we're going to. It would cost us about the same.
Congressman Paul, this comes from Jay Majumdar from Roswell, Georgia, and he wants to know if you agree with Senator McCain's statement that the United States might need to have U.S. troops in Iraq for as long as even 100 years. I don't even think they should have gone. So keeping them for 100 years, where's the money going to come from? You know, the country's in bankruptcy, and when I listen to this argument, I mean, I find it rather silly because they're arguing technicalities of a policy they both agree with. They agreed going in, agreed for staying how many years, and these are technicalities. We should be debating foreign policy, whether we should have interventionism or non-interventionism, whether we should be defending this country or whether we should be the policemen of the world, whether we should be, you know, running our empire or not, and how are we going to have guns and butter? You know, the 70s were horrible because we paid for the guns and butters of the 60s. Now we're doing the same thing, and nobody even seems to care. The dollar is crashing, and you're talking about these technicalities about who said what when. I mean, in 1952, we Republicans were elected to stop the war in Korea. 1968, we were elected to stop the war in Vietnam. And tragically, we didn't stop it very fast. 30,000 more men died. So when I talk about these long-term stays, I think, how many men are you willing to let die for this? For something that has nothing to do with our national security. There were no Al-Qaeda there, had nothing to do with 9/11, and there was no threat to our national security. They never committed aggression. It's unconstitutional. It's an undeclared war. And we have these silly arguments going on about who said what when. I think it's time to debate foreign policy and why we don't follow the Constitution and only go to war with a declaration of war.
Governor Huckabee, the idea of a 100-year involvement of the
of the Constitution.
Before recognizing Dr. Paul for his statement, I want to note that this may be his last committee meeting with the chairman of the Federal Reserve. And throughout his time in office, Dr. Paul has been a consistent and strong advocate for sound monetary policy, and his leadership on the committee, especially during these hearings when we've had the Federal Reserve Chairman appear before us, have certainly made the hearings more interesting and provided several memorable YouTube moments. So,
Mr. Chairman, could I unanimous consent just to say that having served for a long time with Ron Paul, with whom I agree on a number of issues, I am very pleased that I was able to serve one term with him as the chairman, because there were times during our joint service when, despite his seniority, I thought he'd never get to it. So I'm glad that he finally achieved that chairmanship that he should have had long ago.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your comments, Chairman, and the ranking member.
But I am delighted to be here today, but I just want to refresh a few people's memory. I was first elected to Congress in 1976 in April in a special election, and the biggest bill on docket at that time was the revamping of the IMF. There was a major crisis going on from the breakdown of the Bretton Woods Agreement, and they had to rewrite the laws. They wanted to conform the laws with what they had been doing for 5 years, and that was a major piece of legislation. But it was only a consequence of what was predicted in 1945, because when 1945 established the Bretton Woods, it was predicted by the free market economists it wouldn't work, it would fail, and this whole idea that they could regulate exchange rates and deal with the balance of payments, it totally failed. And so they had to come up with something new. In 1971, 76 is that transition period. And those same economists at that time said this was an unworkable system too, and it would lead to a major crisis of too much debt, too much malinvestment. It would be worldwide. It would be worse than anything because it would be based on the fiat dollar globally, and that many of the problems that we have domestically would be worldwide. And that certainly has been confirmed with the crisis that we're in and has not been resolved yet. We're still floundering around, and we still have a long way to go. I have, over the years, obviously been critical of what goes on monetary policy, but it hasn't been so much the chairman of the committee of the Federal Reserve, whether it was Paul Volcker or Alan Greenspan or the current chairman. It's always been the system. I think they have a job that they can't do because it's an unmanageable job, and it's a fallacy. It's a flawed system, and therefore we shouldn't expect good results. And and generally we are not getting results. Policies never change. We stay the same thing. No matter what crisis is, we still do more of the same. If spending and debt was the problem, spending more and in greater debt and have the Fed just buy more debt doesn't seem to help at all. And here we are doing the same thing. We don't talk about the work ethic and true productions and true savings and why this excessive debt is so bad for us. We talk about solving a worldwide problem of insolvency of nations, including our own, by just printing money, creating credit. And now the Fed, in the last 4 years, tripled the monetary base, and it has $1 trillion more money sitting there. The banks are sitting with trillions of dollars. And just the creation of money doesn't restore the confidence that is necessary. And until we get to the bottom of this and restore the confidence, I don't think we're going to see economic growth. This whole idea that you have the job of managing money, and we can't even define the dollar. Nobody has a definition of the dollar. It's an impossible task. So I have hoped in the past to try to contribute to the discussion on monetary policy, the business cycle, and why it benefits the rich over the poor. And so far, my views have not prevailed. But I've appreciated the opportunity, and I appreciate this opportunity to have served on the Bank Committee.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. The gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Clay, is recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and let me thank Chairman Bernanke for appearing at today's hearing. Let me also publicly thank our chairman, Dr. Paul, for his honorable service in Congress and to his country.
Dr. Paul, for 5 minutes, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a question prepared, but I think I better follow up on the question you asked, Chairman Bernanke, dealing with the audit of the Fed. Because when the Fed talks about independence, what they're really talking about is secrecy, not transparency. And it's the secrecy that I don't like and that we have a right to know about. What the GAO cannot audit, and I believe it would be the position of the chairman, is it cannot audit monetary policy, and you expressed yourself on monetary policy, but it would not be able to look at agreements and operations with foreign central banks and governments and other banks, or transactions made under direction of the FOMC, discussions or communications between the board and the Federal Reserve System related to all those items. So it really, it's really not an audit without this. It's still secrecy. And why this is important is because of what happened 4 years ago. It's estimated that the amount of money that went in and out of the Fed for the bailing out overseas was $15 trillion. How did we ever get into this situation where Congress has nothing to say about trillions and trillions of dollars of bailing out certain banks and governments through these currency swaps? And the chairman has publicly announced that he's available. There's a crisis going on in Europe. Part of this dollar crisis going on that's been building. It's unique to the history of the world and monetary policy. And we stand ready. Who stands ready? The American taxpayer, because we're just going to print up the money. As long as they take our dollars, we'll print the money and we'll bail them all out, and we're going to destroy the middle class. The middle class is shrinking. The banks get richer. The middle class gets shrink. They lose their houses. They lose their mortgages. This system is biased against the middle class and the poor. So I would say that this is, if we protect this amount of secrecy, it is not good policy, and it's not good, good economics at all, and it's very unfair. But my question is, Mr. Chairman, whose responsibility is it under the Constitution to manage monetary policy? Which branch of government has the absolute authority to manage monetary policy?
The Congress has the authority, and it's delegated to the Federal Reserve. That's a policy decision that you made.
Yeah, but they can't transfer authority. You can't amend the Constitution by just saying we're going to create some secret group of individuals and banks. That's amending the Constitution. You can't do that and all of a sudden allow this to exist in secrecy. And whose responsibility is it for oversight? Which branch of government has the right of oversight?
Congress has the right of oversight, and we certainly fully accept that, and we fully accept the need for transparency and accountability. But it is a well-established fact that an independent central bank will provide better outcomes. If you want to go, there's no constitutional reason why Congress couldn't just take over monetary policy. If you want to do that, I guess that's your right to do it. But I'm advising you that it wouldn't be very good from an economic policy point of view.
Yeah, but if it's allowed to be done in secret, this is the reason why I want to work within the system. What I want to say is Congress ought to get a backbone. They ought to say we deserve to know, we have a right to know, we have an obligation to know, because we have an obligation to defend our currency. It's the destruction of the currency that destroys the middle class. There is a principle in free market banking that says if you destroy the value of currency through inflation, you transfer the wealth from the middle class and it gravitates to the very wealthy. The bankers, the government, the politicians, they all love this. It is the fact that the Federal Reserve is the facilitator. But you couldn't have big government. If everybody loves big government, love the Fed, because they can finance the wars and all the welfare you want. But it doesn't work. It eventually ends up in a crisis. And it's a solvency crisis, and it can't be solved by printing a whole lot of money. So I think the very first step is transparency, and for us to know. We have a right to know, and you may be correct in your assumption, at least I'm sure you believe this, but maybe I should be talking to the Congress, that we should stand up and say, yes, we demand to know. Trillions and trillions of dollars being printed out of thin air and bailing out their friends. They stand ready to do it. The crisis is just, as far as I'm concerned, my opinion is it's in the early stages. It's far from over. We're in deep doldrums, and we never change policy. We never challenge anything. We just keep doing the same thing. Congress keeps spending the money. Welfare expands exponentially. Wars never end. And deficits don't matter. And when it comes to cutting spending, Republicans and Democrats to get together and say, oh, no, we can't really cut. And if we do cut, we just cut proposed increases.
Mr. Chairman, regular order.
You stand there, you stand
regular order,
there
Mr. Chairman.
And facilitate it all.
Thank you, Dr. Paul.
Sustainability.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. And Mr. Bernanke, thank you for being here. I want to say two of my worst votes in 18 years, the Iraq War. We didn't have to go to Iraq. And the second, the repeal of Glass-Steagall. And if I was not going to yield my time, I would ask you about reinstating Glass-Steagall. I think I will write you a letter with that question, sir. But at this time, because he's one of my dearest friends, I supported him for the Republican nomination to be President of the United States. I yield my time to Dr. Ron Paul.
I thank the gentleman from North Carolina. I wanted to make a very brief statement about our previous discussion about the audit the Fed bill. That bill has nothing to do with transferring who does monetary policy. It's strictly a transparency bill. Monetary policy reform, I believe, will come, but that's another subject. This is just to know more about what the Federal Reserve is doing. Mr. Chairman, one of your key points that you've made through your academic career as well as being at the Fed has been the need to prevent deflation. Would you agree with that? That is
generally, yes, sir.
Right, and that you argue that the Depression was prolonged by the Federal Reserve not being able to reinflate. So in that sense, I think you really have achieved, you've had the chance, you were put in a situation that you alone didn't create. It's, as far as I'm concerned, the system created it, and other managers helped create this. And there was this what I see as a natural tendency to deflate and liquidate and clear the market. And under your philosophy, you say, well, we can't allow this to happen. We have to prevent it. And I would say you've done a pretty good job. You know, the monetary base has been tripled. And in the last 12 months, I think M1 has grown about 16%, M2 at over 9%. So it seems to be like a monetary system. The monetary numbers are still growing. But the pricing houses, you know, everybody knows there's a bubble. I like to believe that the free market economists knew about it and predicted it. Others did not. But the prices soared up. Everybody knows there was a bubble, and then they collapsed. When those prices of houses collapse, do you call that deflation?
No. Deflation is prices of current goods and services. So inflation doesn't capture house prices. It includes the house or the rental.
Okay, and I think one of the problems, even getting a full-fledged discussion out, is sometimes a definition of words about what inflation and deflation means. Because as far as I'm concerned, deflation is when the money supply shrinks, and inflation is when the money supply expands. But just about everybody in the country, especially the financial markets, and the way I think the conventional use of inflation is the CPI. And I think it's, you know, a lousy measurement, because if it's the money supply increase, if prices going down of houses is not deflation, wonder why it is that inflation is measured by the CPI going up rather than the money supply going up. Our argument is that once you distort interest rates and increase the supply of money, you end up with this gross distortion that is demanding some correction. So I've worked on this for years, and we're not going to solve it today. The definitions would be much better if prices of houses going down is not deflation, and because CPI going up shouldn't be inflation. But we've had trouble 5 years. The monetary system, you say, this is not all end to end all. You can't solve every problem with monetary system and monetary policy. We've had this for 5 years, and we're still in a mess. Is there ever a time, let's say we go 5 more years and we have the same problems but much worse, is there ever a time you might say, I have to reassess my philosophy on monetary policy, or do you think it'll be the same no matter what kind of crisis? Can you foresee any kind of problem that we would have that you would reassess your assumptions?
I can't conjecture what specifically, but of course, yeah, I'm evidence-based. I look at see what happens and try to draw conclusions from that. Certainly. The definitions, obviously, to me are, you know, very, very important. And if we don't come to this conclusion and we use these terms, inflation demands corrections, and the market wants to correct. So this is why we believe that we're going to have perpetual doldrums and finally have a big one. Do you consider this recession that we're facing today something that is significantly different since 1945? Much worse and different in any way? Yes, because of the financial crisis, yes.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. That was a double dose you got. So that was pleasantly unexpected, I guess.
This is all because our government prints too much money, starts too much wars, so they can sell their tanks, their guns, their missiles. because that's all America exports. Is guns, missiles, and tanks. That's it. We need to bring production back to America.
That's right.
And the Federal Reserve. And the fractional banking system. When you invest $100 in a bank, they multiply that by 9 and they send it out 9 different ways. They don't just make money on the initial investment, they make it 9 times the initial investment. That's fake money that they printed out of thin air. Fiat money. It's a fiat currency. 1913, this country died when we adopted the central bank and we got rid of sound money. We used to be able in 1913 to walk into a bank and redeem our dollars with gold. Can we do that anymore? No. What's the price of gold now? Almost $2,000. It's gone up $600 an ounce this year.
It's going to keep rising.
And it's going to keep rising as long as we have bailouts, as long as we have quantitative easing, as long as our government keeps spending our money. Every dollar the government takes in federal taxation is another dollar that they spend. Every time they spend money, that's your money that they send overseas. They bail out Morgan Stanley and then Goldman Sachs. When I fuck up, who bails me out? No one. Why should Goldman Sachs get bailed out? $700 billion in 08. And they want more now? They want more. That wasn't enough? You're gonna drain. There's not gonna be a middle class in 10 years. And the Federal Reserve. And the fractional banking system.
And the Fed.
Elect Ron Paul. And the war.
Ron Paul 2012.
Sound money. Stop with the banksters printing money. Printing it, debasing our currencies. Driving up our prices. We don't need any more money in our economy. We got plenty in debt.
Destroy them.
So we're going down today.
Cook engineering, get us out of here. Quick. Do it. That's it. Let's go.
Your future's
We have reached a landmark settlement with the nation's largest banks.
Everybody love everybody! Come on!